I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if we could stand and do the flag salute, I appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heather, could I have roll call, please?
Brandon,
Yes, here.
David Jones,
Here.
Katie Norton,
Here.
Leslie Pearson,
Here.
Junior Drago,
Here.
Sandy Toms, and Art Kegler.
Absent. Okay, so first on, can you guys all hear me? Okay. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for August 6th, 2020, the regular meeting. Have you all had a chance to read it? Seeing no statements, I need a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by David and seconded by Junior to approve the August 6th, 2020 regular meeting minutes. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6 and 1 absent. Before we go any further, I would like to take a moment of silence for Art. He was very cherished in his community and he's going to be very missed. So if we could please take a moment of silence, I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Next is introductions. I'm Sandy Toms, the mayor. We have Chief Stokoe, Karen Pettigrew, and
Robert Ettinger.
Robert Eckmer, and then on the Zoom, can Heather? We have Heather, we have Marta, David Jones, Tori Griggs, Barry Byler, Junior Drago, Leslie Pearson, Wendy Neal, Katie Norton, Cheryl Tommen, JJ, how do you say that, Swally? Brandon Hammond, and then Paul Kiefer, is that right? Did I miss someone?
Luis.
Huh?
Luis.
Louise. Thank you for all being here tonight. Next on the agenda is the financial report ending August 31st, 2020. Do we have any questions for Marta? Marta, did you want to say anything about the financial report?
I just wanted to add that down at the bottom where it says cash report, I have added the current interest rates on our accounts because due to this COVID-19 pandemic, interest has been dropping, which also is the interest that we're earning. So just giving you kind of that bird's eye view of what the interest looks like on our accounts.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that the interest rate, when you're down to Bank of VO at 0.93, you know, isn't even 1%. So we're not going to have the interest asset we've had before.
That's really good, yeah.
Can I get an interest rate like that? Jeez, man, that's great.
I know. So we need a motion on the floor to approve the financial report.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved by Junior and seconded by David to approve the financial report ending August 31st, 2020. Any questions? Heather, roll call, please.
Leslie,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Katie, I think we lost her.
We lost her.
Yeah. Junior,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
and Sandy.
Yes. Motion passes and two absent, I guess. Oh, Katie's back on. Katie, can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm driving back. I dropped service for a second. I'm back.
Okay. Do you approve the financial report?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes 6 and one absent. I don't know how else to say that. All right. So on the agenda, we have a couple of prearranged presentations. Viviana, are you on? Is she on? I can't.
I don't see a name that I don't recognize.
No, I don't see her. Okay, since she's not here, we'll go to Robert. Robert from Umatilla Electric, you're on.
Thank you very much,
You're
Mayor.
I've asked Robert Eckenrode to be here tonight to show you the video that he has shown to the county and to the port about the 230 line. So that way you, oh, here we go.
There you go.
Let me move some things off my screen if I can. So thank you, City Council members and the Mayor, Karen and Chief Stucco. I was able to attend a previous City Council meeting to talk about the PUC filing, and the city considered a letter to the PUC, and I was excited to learn that I was invited to present to the council this project and be able to show something a little bit more to get a better understanding of the siting of a transmission line. There's been a lot of interest in this line and the location and why is it here and not somewhere else. And so what I would like to do is share with everyone the project as it's been presented to the Public Utilities Commission. What we have here is an aerial view of the eastern portion of the city of Boardman. And we have a line that's proposed to begin over here at the intersection of Highway 730 and the interstate. This is the supply point. And it follows a red line as indicated on the map over to a property where there will be a substation that we call Olson Road Substation. And so what I'd like to do is kind of brief the council ever so briefly on how our transmission line is sited and some of the factors that go into the placement of the line. It's not generally arbitrary. It's a lot of factors are taken into consideration. But to start on some of the most simplest terms, is because we have a starting point and an ending point, the easiest solution is, of course, a straight line from one end to the other. Well, while that is easiest on a piece of paper, it's never practical in real life. And so the line has to be adjusted to look at alternatives, be it north around through the property north of the freeway and south along some of the more suburban and small farm areas south of Boardman to get to the point that we're looking at. And while we consider many of these options, there's been a lot of public interest and questions about why not just go through the port area where it should be. And so one of the things I wanted to point out is take some time to share with the city and the council members some of the challenges of siting a transmission line. There's some fundamental aspects here that are critical. One is the supply point is north of the freeway. The substation is south of the freeway, so therefore the freeway must be crossed. We've chosen this area. It resides east or south of the BPA transmission lines that bisect the Boardman area, and the load is on the north side of the BPA transmission line, so therefore it must cross under the BPA transmission lines, and we've selected this location. And I'll be able to go into more detail on that. But what I really want to talk about for the council, which I think is most important for the council, that the purpose of the line, while it is to serve a load that's here and supply a substation, it's also a jumping off point for Umatilla Electric in order to meet the growing needs of the community. Boardman is growing as a community with new housing and businesses. I believe it's the interest of the city to continue to do that growth. And there are two main supply points for all of the city of Boardman. One is the original site up here at the Portomoro, or one of the original sites, the Portomoro substation. And the transmission line picks up some of the industrial, commercial, and residential areas north of the freeway, and then crosses here at the main highway crossing before it serves just in this area. It serves about a third of the city's load that's within the city limits. The other point is here also nearby the starting point. This is the Coyote Springs substation that's been there for a number of years, recently rebuilt about 4 years ago. And there, the city of Boardman is served by a feeder that extends south on Bombing Range Road and along East Wilson Road until it serves the community. The capacity available on those two lines is limited. And at the growth rate that the city of Boardman has been experiencing, all things being equal, there's about 5 years left before that capacity would be used up. And that would require a second distribution line from either of the two locations. However, this substation is at about 80% capacity, thus limiting it. This substation, because it also serves a lot of industrial load, is at capacity. So there's really no capacity from these substations. This substation is full with 3 existing transformers that take up all the room in that site. So I can't add another transformer. They've been upgraded here in the last 4 years as well to the maximum capacity of the footprint that's there. I can come back over here to the Coyote Springs, the other supply point for the city. And here we do have room to add a second transformer and more feeders. So while that's a viable solution for the city must also understand, and Umatilla certainly wants to make it clear, that putting 2 feeders along the road, while that does happen, a tree, a windstorm, a car wreck would take out both of those lines, and the city would fall into darkness until it's repaired. And even that would be a limited amount of capacity that could grow. It might extend the growth projections for the city perhaps 10 years. This substation location allows for us to jump off of that point and look at, when the time is right, a substation more central to the load growth or the load center of the city of Boardman, which would then allow the growth to go in whatever the natural direction of the city is. I can't say which direction the city will grow in. The city might have some ideas which direction it may go in, but generally the constituents and the community decides that based upon property values, the interest of the developers, and the zoning areas of the city. And so this would allow us just a short hop, if necessary, to be able to more nearly serve the area. If a large or medium-sized grocery store or retail center or strip mall was developed, the capacity on these existing feeders would be taken up. There wouldn't be but perhaps a few more subdivisions before this would be taken into, the capacity to be used up. And so I do want the council to know that while sometimes this is perceived as a one-time request from Umatilla Electric, it is part of a bigger process to serve the community of our territory, which extends all the way out to this last billboard out here on the interstate here, and comes down along part of the airport property and across the bombing range and all through here. This is the westernmost service point that we have, and all of the city of Boardman service comes from across the freeway. And it is imperative that a supply point, this is part of our application with the PUC, is to establish a new point of service to increase capacity and provide reliable service into the future. Okay, so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this point. Otherwise, I'll take a few more minutes to talk about some of the obstacles of trying to grow into this area and serve through the northern part. We looked at this very extensively prior to the interest of the community. It's one of our obligations. We settled on this route with two alternatives. One that falls along the south of the BPA transmission lines, crosses over and comes back, and another one that cuts through this area along the interchange. And neither of those seem to be as desirable based upon the landowners who were impacted and their willingness to sign easements for this route. And so therefore, this has become our preferred route. This is the route that we seek to construct on. We have two easements that have not yet been acquired, an easement over in this general area and an easement in this general area right here. Upon execution of those easements, we would then have a complete route for consideration. But that doesn't mean that's the only route. It's just that the other landowners who have signed easements have elected that this route is their preference across their property, and we will do our best to honor their wishes. So what I have here is a three-dimensional model of the transmission system in this general area. This information comes from a program that many of you may be aware of. You can look it up on the internet. It's Google Earth. I believe it's free. And you can actually build this with enough time and effort and interest in your life. Bless you if you have such an interest in your life. But as we zoom in on the three transmission lines of BPA, these are modeled in 3D, and you can see these are two 230 kV transmission lines that everyone in the city of Boardman are well familiar with. And this southern line is a 500,000 volt transmission line, and you can see how the lines follow the towers. And so you can mimic this as well. And so what I have here is to rotate this, and I apologize if this might make somebody a bit queasy, and it's a little jerky because of the slow computer I have. So bear with me. So we're looking down the freeway, I-84, and as we travel down the freeway, you can see UEC has an existing transmission line on the south side. This is the proposed supply point, the 730 switch yard that's currently under construction. And we have a number of obstacles that we have to encounter. Now, I will mention there is one other obstacle not shown on this map and another one anticipated, and that is the Wheat Ridge transmission line that follows along here, that sits above this. And then there's a proposed 500 kV line, otherwise known as Boardman to Hemingway or B2H, also not shown here because these obstacles were not present at the time of the planning. But this proposed red line demonstrates its relative height to these other structures. We cross over the existing line. We have to cross, I believe, under the Wheat Ridge line, and then we have to certainly cross under the B2H line. And we follow along the existing corridor just off the right-of-way, the existing right-of-way, We could not safely build the two circuits on top of each other because of this is a double circuit line, this is a single circuit line, and it has existing distribution service that goes to your neighbors and businesses in the community. So we had to have a second line a safe distance away. We continue down the freeway, we cross the interstate, follow along Route Lane, and continue on, trying to mitigate any impact to the existing agricultural facilities. We have easements with these landowners and to minimize the impact. One of the challenges that we have spoken a lot about is crossing underneath the BPA transmission lines. And here is a model of crossing under the line where we have to go down from a single structure into two individual lines and actually cross under all of these lines until we get over the north side and then continue on westward, now entering the city limits, circumventing property under development with the county, and further additional ag lands here before we get up adjacent to the freeway and onto the site. So this is the proposed route. Crossing the freeway is limited to some extent. We have made application or made awareness to the highway department, and they have looked at this and have not expressed any concerns. We have talked with BPA about crossing underneath this line, and they found this to be a area that's able to cross. When we look at the crossings of BPA, this is one of our major obstacle points. If we go on the north side of the transmission line here into the Portomoro area, you can see we have all these transmission lines. We have to cross under these lines and cross over and under various UEC and Columbia and BPA transmission lines of various voltages. And we have another tremendous obstacle, a double circuit 500 kV line that goes to the Cotty Springs power plant. To cross over and under and weave through these lines have been found to be nearly impossible. If we look to go along this route, we have to build a line adjacent to UZ's existing route to the Rippey Road substation, and we would be impacting land, this industrial land. Sorry about jumping around so much here. We would be impacting this industrial land because we have a substation and a building already encroaching the existing line. We would have to build here, disrupting this business. We would still have to cross over and then come back to this point to continue on. We looked at the possibility of coming around the BPA Boardman substation, weave between the city's lagoons, running the risk of perforating the liners of those lagoons and making the embankments unstable. The city has been very accommodating to work with us, not saying no, but also expressing their concern of this. We found this to be not a favorable alternative, but even if that could be accomplished, we'd follow along this route. We'd have to cross under this 500 line, and then we find ourselves in a challenging position along Industrial Way. If I could slide down here a little bit without losing too much of what's here, there's no room between the Cotty Springs 500 lines and UEC's existing 115 line. I can't just eliminate it because it serves the Boardman substation or Portomoro substation and comes back around the Rippey Road and provides a loop for the existing Portomoro infrastructure. It also has overhead and underground facilities to pick up all these businesses along the way. If this was converted to a higher voltage, all the substations all along the line would have to be upgraded as well, costing tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. This is all outlined in the application with the PUC, but just to give the council a visual example of some of the challenges of coming forward. We looked even farther north along the railroad tracks and across the railroad causeway here, but we ran into trouble sighting it along here, and we really ran into trouble getting around the Coyote Springs power plant when we go down, I believe this is Almond Boulevard or Avenue. There is a protected wetland area here and here as well too, which prevented us from using this as a path to head south to get there. So when we look at all these factors, again, I apologize. We found and we believe that this route is the least impactful overall for the environmental, for the land, for the EFU. There is some wildlife areas, but nonetheless, it is impactful for the landowners of which we cross. I believe there are 17 landowners and 15 landowners have signed easements to date. Since we last spoke, 2 landowners of 4, 2 of them have signed an agreement that this route is their preferred route across their properties too. And so I wanted to share this with everyone, and I'm going to spin this around slowly. I went someplace I didn't know where I went. Hope I'm not.
Oh, you're on the ocean
I
already.
mean,
You trying to see the fires going on?
yeah. Oh, here I am. Sorry. I wanted to kind of give everybody a northern look again of what we're talking about. Okay. So I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding the route, the project, the need. It's much larger than maybe some people have attempted to share. There's a much greater need in the community. This is what we're hoping to demonstrate, and we would ask for the city to ask any questions if they have. All right. I think I see a hand up.
Yep. Is that Leslie? Leslie, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Eckenrode, for the presentation. I have maybe 3 questions. First of all, in the view that we see right now, just about smack dab in the middle, there looks to be another substation or supply line. If you move your cursor to the right now. Yep, that spot right there. What is that?
That is the BPA Boardman substation. It's a supply point for Umatilla Electric and Columbia Basin, as well as it's integrated into the BPA's bulk energy system with their 230 kV lines, the teal colored lines.
And what is that pale pink line that runs directly south and then over southeast?
This one along here?
No, it goes straight south.
Oh, this one here.
Yes.
This one here. This is the BPA 69 kV line that serves Columbia Basin down in Hefner. This will zoom out and you can see it fall along Bonnie Range Road. Okay.
Okay, got it. Now, if I understand you correctly, it sounds like the 2 substations that we have, Coyote Springs and the Port of Morrow, although the Port of Morrow is at 100% capacity and Coyote Springs is at 80%, did you say that we still have 5 years left with those combined?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what's presented at the PUC. I'm going from memory, but that's what the consultant has forecasted based upon the load growth on these circuits that serve the city.
Okay, and then I think this is my last question. On the proposed line, the red line, where it goes under the current BPA lines, north of that big circle, what were the ramifications if instead of going under those lines, it just continued to follow the BPA lines west?
On the south of the BPA lines?
Yes, if
Along
it just
here?
continued, yes.
Yes, so that was one of the alternatives. And the crossing point to cross underneath the line, and I'd be happy to go into as much detail as you'd like on this. You have to find 3 structures in close proximity or an alignment. Here you can see these 3 structures by these vertical lines.
Yes.
This would be the next closest crossing to the, and one of the alternatives in the project. The other one, of course, is as proposed, and that was chosen, bear with me while I get back there, for a, hopefully an intuitive reason, and that is because there's an angle structure here where the line changes direction, and so therefore to maintain spacing, these structures are also in close proximity to each other. Now, the reason it was not the preferred route is it impacted this circle. While BPA can, from this tower and this tower, span the edge of the circle, UEC structure cannot span there. Therefore, it would make what we call a Pac-Man circle, impacting the EFU designated lands. We also have in this area sensitive areas with wetlands that, you know, at the time BPA has structures in here or nearby. By today's standards, they would probably not be allowed to place structures there. And we feel that while it's a practical route, it has far greater consequences than the preferred route.
And do you mean consequences? I mean, and just forgive my naivete here on this, but it seems that the direct route straight west would have less effect on property owners than the proposed route now.
That may be true. It has less impact on the affected landowners, but it would have an increased effect on the other landowners. And that's where the decision has to be made, whether it's practical or not. So we have to consider not only the impact to the landowners, but the impact to the land itself, the ability to service the line, and the cost and environmental aspects. So whether it is the northern route, one of the alternatives, or the southern route, we found them all 3 to be practical and within close proximity of cost and length of the line, which are part of the consideration, not the only consideration. But when you look at the sensitive lands that are here versus these other known for or an outright use is allowed, the tough decision comes into play. And the fact that when visiting with landowners, they chose these areas as preference to the others. We feel we have selected the preferred route and have demonstrated that with the high level of voluntarily executed easements.
Is there anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask if there's anybody.
Is there anybody else that has any questions?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to clarify one point, if that's cool. So across the wetlands, then you're saying that if the BPA were to construct those lines today, they would not be allowed?
I don't believe they would, but you know, I can't speak for BPA. You know, there are different. I mean, these lines were probably built in the 40s and 50s, maybe even the 60s. The environmental rules have changed considerably, but you know, we would find it to be difficult, more difficult to change or to cross these
Okay.
lines.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, this is Terry Tallman,
Okay.
and Mr. Eckenrode, this is the first time that I've heard that you want to extend all the way on the north side. When we asked questions about that during our negotiations, you told us that you had no idea what the power uses were going to be for. And now all of a sudden it becomes clear that there are many uses that are all of a sudden presented to us, And that's the reason that we need to go forward with this proposed route. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand your question, Mr. Tallman, about extending north and more loads. Could you rephrase that perhaps for me?
No. What you're telling us here tonight is that that jumping off point, everything's at capacity, and you can't go on the, or I mean, not on the north side. I'm sorry, on the south side of the freeway. It's going to go all the way through on the south side of the freeway. I said north. I had written north, but it's south. And so then where the proposed route that you're talking about actually goes across our property, we asked about being able to use power from that line there, and we were told that we could not. And now all of a sudden, everybody else is going to be able to use it all the way to Love's.
Well, I don't know about all the way to Love's. The comment I made here at this presentation was this was a point of supply that could be used and extended closer to the city limits to afford a future substation for the city growth. If this line is not built and the city continues to grow, at some point within the next 5 years, if the city continues to grow, UEC would be back asking for a transmission line of some way or means from probably Highway 730 Switchyard westward to the city's need. And I think the route that we have selected here would be, the vast majority of it would be included in that request. So, and that information is not new for this group today. This is filed in the PUC's filing, I believe, back as early as March, Mr. Tallman. So I don't believe this is new information. Second, if I can address your comment about you were asked if you could use this line and you were told no. I can't speak for others, but I certainly did speak with you and your family at the farm one evening, and you asked if you could use a line for your development on your property. And I said it would not be practical because the size of the substation necessary to be constructed adjacent to the line to serve the property. And when I believe you indicated that, I believe this is your property in question, this was approximately 10 acres. And to construct a substation to go from 230,000 volts down to any distribution substation or to a home or a business would take 8 acres. 8 acres of your 10 acres would need to be provided, all right, so that somebody could have a 2-acre development. I don't know of many of those practical solutions. That's certainly your prerogative. I encourage you to examine that, but there would be a more practical way to provide service to this 10 acres through the existing distribution facilities being served from the Coyote Springs, the Portamora, or future City of Boardman substation. That would be, I believe, a more practical solution. And if you took that as a hard no, I apologize. I think it's an impractical no.
But nonetheless, it still indicates that that 2 acres then becomes extremely valuable for the whole project to move forward, even if it stops at the west side of the city limits of Boardman and doesn't go to Love's. And that's one of the points that we've made, is that that's a very valuable piece of property, both to us personally, but also to all of the rest of the town of Boardman, and then ultimately to Umatilla Electric and VA Data and Amazon and whoever else is going to plug into that line. And that's the point that we're trying to make, is that the value of the property is not recognized. It's only looked at as the possibility of doing nothing on it. And I just have great difficulty, Mr. Eckenrode. You can apologize all you want, but an apology doesn't mean anything here. We still had asked that you would continue to negotiate with us, and you said, well, it's only worth $111,000. And when you can look at the proposed plan that you're saying here, it's actually going to be worth far more than that to the community of Boardman, just the community, not even thinking about VA data.
Well, Mr. Tallman, you're welcome to share whatever price you have for the property. I will certainly consider it. I consider those negotiations to be private, but if you care to share them in a public forum like this, you're certainly welcome. But the value that's perceived is then compensated by the ratepayers to electric, including those here on this meeting and throughout the community. And I think it behooves the ratepayers of Umatilla Electric to pay a fair level of compensation for the value of the easement. And I don't think you've ever heard anything other than that. You have a value in your mind. I've shared with you, I believe, what is fair, and I say some might say it's more than fair. And therefore, if it's unacceptable, I understand that. But you've rejected the last offer Umatilla Electric made, and I hope you would reconsider. But that's for you to do as a landowner.
Well, every time we've ever talked to you, you've always said less money and less money and less money, and then you tell us, well, when we say it's less money, then are you rejecting it? And those are your words, not ours. We still want to talk with you, and we're more than willing to talk with Umatilla Electric about it. But all we ever get is, it's fair, and the ultimate thing is that condemnation then, as you see it, and as you're going to present it and have presented it, is condemnation to the PUC. And there's no comparison of other pieces of property right there on our property that says the value of the property is far more than what you're talking about. And we brought that up to you, and you foo-fooed that idea over and over and over every time we brought it up. And I'm talking about the cost.
Mr. Tallman, I hate to interrupt you, but he has said that he's willing to sit down with you in private and talk with you again. So I think you both have each other's contact information. So I think it would be best if you tried to communicate again instead of hashing it out again in a public forum. Maybe do it privately. Okay? Are you there? Okay.
He's gonna have to unmute to talk.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, counselors and Mayor. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. I appreciate the time and opportunities to visit. Be happy to address the council again at whatever is necessary.
Okay, thank you for your time, for being here and
Well,
explaining.
thank you for muting us, Mayor.
I did not mute you.
Somebody did.
I did.
I don't have control of that. So anyways, if you want to reply to what I said, that if you would like to get together with Mr. Eckenrode, thank you. He'd be more than happy to sit down with you privately and negotiate. So you have each other's contact information, and that would be appreciated if you could do that then. Is that okay with you, Terry?
Well, it depends. If we get to talk about our numbers, or if all we're left with is what Bob's already presented, he already knows what we think about that.
I think this is just a presentation.
This
It's
is
not
just a
negotiations.
presentation from
Yeah.
Robert to help explain what's going on with the power lines. So I don't think this is the proper place to have a negotiation for money for property. I hope you understand.
It's exactly the right place because it should be done in public. Because the ones that brought it up, that the first thing they wanted us to do was to sign a non-disclosure statement. They didn't want any of these numbers out in public. And I don't think that's right.
And I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
And along those same lines, the city said that they were going to send out a letter that said they were not for condemnation of property. Did that take place?
Here.
We sent a letter to PUC. To be honest, I don't know what it said now.
Yeah, we did send a letter to PUC.
Well, could we get a copy of it then, please?
That's public records, and it should be along with the PUC public records, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
It's not on the PUC website, I'll tell you that.
Well, it was sent to staff. I mean, I don't know how it was sent, but I think if he makes an inquiry to the PUC of public comment, he will be able to receive it.
Did you hear that, Terry? If you
No.
make a request to PUC, for a request for that document, they will provide it for you. But you have to request it.
Well, we thought we were going to get that from the city, and we haven't.
I'll go look in my files.
Okay, we appreciate that very much,
Okay.
Mr.
So-
Manager.
Are there any other questions from council?
No, if we're done with that subject though, I would like to have Mr. Eckenrode show that map again of, I want to show you the sewer lines where she asked where that substation is up by the sewer lagoons.
Yes.
Well, you've got a great picture, so I'm going to take advantage of it while I've got the city councilors on here. So we can,
All right.
yeah,
So,
there you go.
in this area or? go-
No, you know where that your other substation is up there by the sewer lagoons
By the lagoon?
Oh,
that
okay.
come across? Okay, ours is that 4 little squares, right?
Yeah.
You're almost there. No, you're going the wrong way. There, right there. See that substation that's right by it?
Right here,
No,
south.
the big one, right there.
Right
Okay.
there.
Okay, anyway, here's what I want to show the city council. Those 3 squares there that are different color blue, or green, I guess that is, are the lagoons. That's the aerial vision of the lagoons. The kind of U-shaped thing to your, well, it's to my right, I don't know what it would be to your,
Talk to this.
oh, I'm sorry, they said I gotta talk to this. That is where we're going to build the new lagoon, is in that property right there. So anyway, I just thought while we had a nice view of the lagoons, I could show you where we were gonna
What
put
is
that.
that U-shape?
That's the firing range.
The-
Oh, and it's closed, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karen,
Yeah.
this is David Jones. Hey, I've got a question for you. As far as that firing range goes, have we thought about relocating that anywhere?
I think they've thought about it, but I don't think the city wants to do that. I just want to put a sewer lagoon there.
And if I can, that range is owned by the port. And the port has tried to find another location to place a range, although we have not yet found one. One that would be in a safe location. And it's obviously not a high priority for the port at this time during all the construction projects they have going. So
Yeah,
What
thanks.
do you have in mind? I've had a lot of questions.
I know that, yeah, I've had a lot of questions as well as far as the shooting range goes, where it's going to be, or if there's going to be another one put in, so on and so forth. So it would be nice if we just found out when, of course, the port can figure that out, or
If the port can figure it out.
that too.
Well, see, if that substation wasn't right there, that's where I would put the lagoon. But they beat me to
Oh,
it.
here,
Yeah.
BPA substation, yeah.
Water and electrical don't go well together, so
Anyway, I just wanted to take advantage of the nice map. Thank you, Robert.
Robert, thank you very much for your
Yeah, thank you so
presentation,
much.
and it helped me a lot to understand what was going on, so thank you, I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Did Viviana ever show up? Viviana, are you on there? No, I guess not. So, do we have any other public comment, Tori?
Yes. So I'll just give a quick update. We had the first of 4 fire bond the fire geo bond 2584 live events today. It's been perceived very well. Everybody appreciated the information that was given to them. We'll be having 3 more of those. The next one will be on September 24th at the Moore County Candidates Forum and the forums for the mayor and the councilors. How it's going to look is on September 28th will be the mayor's forum at 6 o'clock. September 30th will be the councilors. October 2nd will be the county commissioner position 1. October 5th will be the justice of the peace at 6:30. October 7th will be the treasurers at 6 p.m. and October 9th would be the sheriffs at 6 p.m. Those will be individually aired. So if you want to go back and review those, you're welcome to continue to see them as you choose to make your votes on your ballot. Ballots will be will be mailed out on October 14th. The chamber is also working on doing a social media tribute to art. We are going to put together a special post, and on that post, we're going to offer that the community shares pictures, special moments, memories that art, how he affected their lives. And that's a way that we can recognize him within our community and share with his family and everybody around. We're working on trying to do a community Halloween event of some kind. Not sure how that's going to work. Kelsey's reaching out to leaders of who've usually held events during Halloween, and they're just going to try to find a way to create something for our kiddos. So if you're part of those, be looking out for more information coming about that. And we're just really excited that we finally got to roll out we're in this together Red Ribbon video project. And we thank everybody again for being a part of that. Thank you.
That was really cool, Tori. I like that a lot.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know if all the counselors have seen that, but I hope you have. If I was with technology, I would send it to you, but we all know that's not going to happen. But anyway, you should go to the Chamber's website and look at it because it is really cool. They did a nice job on that.
Yeah, they did. Thank you, Tori.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else have anything to say before we move on? All right, we're going to move on to action items. The first action item is ordinance 2-2020, an ordinance adopting a cross-connection control program for the city of Boardman and repealing the ordinance number 2-2001. Do you have questions?
No, I have a lot of comment on this.
Okay.
In my notes to you, I wrote, and so I hope you read them. I don't know if you liked when I put attachment 1. I thought of that later, but that way you could go and look. But we've sent Luis Campos to be trained as a backflow technician. But I think what we have to decide is there's businesses that do this for, like you can call a plumber and he can come out and test your backflow, and people that have these kind of tests. My and I sent you the table 42 that lists all of the reasons, the places that the state says are the most hazardous, to add waste, like agriculture farms, beverage plants, car wash, chemical plants, food processing plants. I'm okay if we go and check their backflow devices. But I think you should consider the fact that we went to the voters in May and said, we would not raise your taxes again right away. And I don't care whether you are raising them 50 cents on my water and sewer bill, or you're saying to me it's a $50 a year thing. I think that is bad. I think this is bad timing, particularly for the residents. We can have, because we know that, most everybody that has underground sprinklers needs to have a check valve or whatever the vacuum breaker, whatever they call these. But I went ahead and put the resolution in the packet. I'm not going to recommend that you pass it. I think this is something that you need to look at and really think about. Two things. I don't shovel the parking lot for the grocery store because that's competing against other businesses. So you have to think about that. And I think you need to think about, like I say, if we said we wouldn't raise your water sewer bill if you pass this bond, I'm not so sure that it looks all that good to get $50 a year. I mean, this is $50 a year is, the reason we're starting to need to do this, I will have to say, is that the DEQ is starting to make us enforce more of the rules that they've never bothered making us enforce, because we just sent in our, I should have brought it. We've sent in two forms in the last 3 weeks on for DEQ. And this is one of the things that they would like for us to get to do. I think I'm okay. I just think the timing is important. So you guys can have a discussion.
So if I can ask, if you don't mind,
No.
if we pass this ordinance, then it would make us have to charge for backflow testing. Is that what, and all these other items? Is that what you're trying to say? Because I'm confused.
What the proposal is if we would go out and if we came to your house and checked your backflow device, that we would charge you $40 or $50. So the council would have to set that figure. And then if there's something the matter with it, then the homeowner needs to call a plumber because we will not repair it.
Right.
And then we've been, I guess that I don't see this as an emergency.
No.
We were supposed to be doing it and we've not been doing it, and they're not right here on our necks. And I think that when you tell the public you're not going to raise their rate, I think that they're smart enough to figure out that $50 a year is a raise.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you guys can debate it. And besides, the resolution is written that it's an emergency.
Yes, I did notice that. And it's like, why is it an emergency?
Oh, I think we just typed that on all the resolutions.
Andy?
No,
Yeah.
we've had it a lot.
David?
So I'm with Karen on this one. I don't think that the city necessarily should get involved at this time. I've already had mine tested by a private individual, and he did a great job and didn't charge me that much. And it would be taking away from his business. We had actually, when he was here, we had a good conversation. And this is what he does in his spare time to kind of earn a little bit extra living. He's a school teacher, and he earns a little bit of extra living doing this, and it would be taking away from him, and I'm not for that.
I agree with you, David. I'm not either. I was confused why the ordinance came to us to begin with. Is it because someone presented from the planning commission or?
No, I wanted you just to know that this was going to be a discussion,
Okay,
and they wanted me to put it in there, and I mean, the staff. And so I said, okay, but I am going to speak against it.
okay. I'm glad you're saying your opinion. I appreciate it because I was against it too. Junior, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm just curious, have we had any indication through our annual testing of our water system, or our quarterly testing of our water system, that we have an issue with any contamination?
No, I think we always have really good water tests. This is just more regulation. You know, how more regulation.
We're reading what?
Okay, thank you.
Did Paul have something to say?
Yes, that's his bottom comment there.
I can't see it. So,
It says,
Paul, I'm gonna have Chief read what you asked.
from Paul Kiefer, he says, the timing is bad. If the statement was made, no water increase, if the residents passed a water bond, then the city has an obligation to keep its word. The timing is bad at this time, something to strive for.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. We think the same thing. Anyone else comment on this? Let's go ahead and just move, if you don't mind, we're gonna move this ordinance for a later.
You can table it for
We
now.
can table it for now. Is that okay with council? Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Okay, next is the resolution 23-2020, a budget resolution to decrease contingency and to increase 2021 expenditures for capital outlay. Marta, can you explain that one, please?
Yes, this, if you read in the first paragraph, I reference our previous resolution 15-2020, which was our declaration of emergency due to the windstorm. So what this is doing is we're moving some funds from the general fund contingency to cover the expenses that really are all for the city park.
Okay. Was that the damages along in the city park, the trees and, okay.
Yes, it was.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion. Do I have a motion on the floor? I think they're all sleeping.
Well, they're all muted.
Are
They can unmute.
they can unmute?
Mhm.
I move that we pass resolution 23-2020, a budget of resolution to decrease the contingency and increase the 2020 and 2021 expenditures for capital outlay materials and services.
Thank you, Junior. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Junior and seconded by Leslie to approve resolution 23-2020, a budget resolution to decrease contingency and to increase 2021 expenditures for capital outlay. Any questions? Seeing none, I need a roll call.
Leslie,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Junior,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Sandy.
Yes. Motion passes 6 and 1 empty. Next is the resolution 24-2020, a resolution establishing and receiving and use of coronavirus relief funds.
I'd like to talk a little minute about this one too. If we are going to receive that money, we have to have a resolution to accept the money and then also to spend it. In the section 3 it says the city manager will work with the Oregon Boardman Assistance Center to ensure funds are transmitted correctly from the city to the third party and documentation is received for such funds disbursement in accordance with the CRF. And I guess I'm also, we're thinking about sending some of this money to the food pantry, the Boardman Food Pantry, because we're going to have a meeting that with the cities, because I didn't send it all out to you, but you know, like Lexington and Ione have been they've been accredited with 25,000 apiece, and Heppner, you know, Boardman has, I sent that paper to you that says 132,000, and I think Heppner was 50, and the library has a really sizable sum. So anyway, we're going to get together and have a public Zoom meeting and try to, because we all want to spend this money. None of us want to send it back to the state. So we're trying to make sure that we're fitting it into the guidelines of the virus state. Yeah. So
Well, I heard you talk today at the meeting that you have some intentions to spend that money through the food banks and stuff, which is really a great idea. So I have no issues with doing that.
Karen?
yeah,
David?
Karen, just a quick question for you. Would part of those funds, do they have to be given to a nonprofit, or can part of those funds be dispersed to individuals who were adversely affected by the storm, like those in Wilson Road Trailer Park?
it has to be with COVID, or we would be having it.
Sorry, my mistake.
But I think part of the thing also was that we had a pretty large outstanding utility bills. And so the girls came and said to me, you know, wow, you know, we usually have maybe 5,000 or 6, and you know, we're up to 19. So we talked about it, and so we sent out a little notice, because you can't turn off the utilities. But we sent a notice that said, you will be, just to remind you that when COVID is over, you're still going to owe your bills. So you might not want to let them get too far behind, something to that effect. And so we got a pretty good reply from that. Then the next thing, for the ones that didn't reply, we made up a different colored door hanger and said, I think it said contact City Hall. So it didn't say, because if we're going to shut your water off, it says notice or whatever. I mean, we made sure it didn't even resemble that, because we talked to the attorney and made sure that we're not, you know, on the verge of threatening people. But so now we've brought it down a lot. I mean, we're down into that 5 or 6, the people that are always struggling. But by sending some of this money over to the Oregon Boardman Emergency Center, they also give people money to pay their rent and help with their utility bills. So, you know, I can't, as a city, we can't take that money and pay our utility ourselves, their utility bills. They have to figure out how to get their money to pay us. So anyway, that's kind of how the long and short.
So then if we gave that money, a certain amount of dollars, to the Oregon shelter place,
yes,
and make them, you know, let them know to designate it to the Boardman area for utility bills, then that would happen?
Yes, because Aaron in Oregon has spent quite a lot of time drawing up a nice agreement and then a nice spreadsheet for them, so that they know what we're all would expect from them if we seem fit to donate that money. But I think with the city, I don't know. Marta, are we up to 10 or 15,000 that we've spent?
We're closer to 10,000 in what we have spent that we can submit for reimbursement from the CRF funds.
Right, so even we can, there's some more things that we can do as city people to take advantage of that money.
Okay,
But still, if we gave out of 132, if we gave 50 of it away, you know, we'd still have 80,000,
okay,
75 that we need to fit, because the goal is to give it to people that can use it, you know, I mean, oh, and back to David's question. Oh, no, that wasn't, I answered your question. Oh. David, I'm talking to you. But anyway, now I forgot why I was talking to you.
Junior had something, so,
Okay.
But you know that actually helps what you said a lot, because what I'm saying is that a lot of the relief dollars that we're getting should go to the public, should go to the ones that need it. You know, because there has been a lot of people that have been affected adversely by the things that have been going on, be it COVID, be it the storm, whatever it is. So if we can help them in any way possible by donating it to an agency that actually distributes those funds, that would be excellent. So that was my comment.
Okay, and I know that Tori is probably biting at the bit in there because we also applied for the 25,000 business grant. And so Tori, I see you came back on. So do you want to talk a minute about how hard it's going to be to give that money away? I'll get to you in a minute, Julia.
okay.
I'm not going to forget it.
Hi, so through the BCDA, I applied with the Use the City of Boardman to apply for a COVID Small Business Relief Fund grant. We were granted that. It's a $25,000 grant we received from Business Oregon, and that's going to be a one-to-one match from BCDA. So we have $50,000 to expend in our community to help with COVID related revenue losses. But to do that, we have to meet these eligibility requirements, and a lot of them, one, you can't have received any CARES funds from either the other agencies or something like that. And if you have received PPP or EIDL funds, that money has to be subtracted from the total amount of money that you can receive. So if you have 1 to 4 employees, you have a maximum of $5,500 that you can receive. So we have to subtract EIDL or PPP from that. We did a survey. We found that we struggled to try to find, because most people did take advantage of those early rounds, but they are kind of letting a little more of those eligibility restraints off for us for this round 3. So we are hopeful that we can go out and really help our community. So I do have $50,000 to go out and help small businesses in our area. So you'll be hearing from us in the next week or so to get those applications out and get that money spent.
Okay, thank you, Tori. JR, did you have something?
Yeah, well, thank you, Tori, for that. Awesome. The basic bottom line is, without the resolution, you can't receive the money, correct?
Correct. We can't spend it, no.
Can't spend it.
Correct, okay. So that's the only question I have.
Well, and as I read this over again, I think it's broad enough that it says that that the city will establish an application process for fund receipts and tracking mechanism for use by the third party to ensure all funds are dispersed. So it doesn't mean that you have to give everything to the Irrigan Boardman Assistance Center. I think it's broad enough that we could give it to anybody as long as we're tracking it. So
we could give it to the business association too for?
no. They can't spend the money they have.
Okay.
So no, but we would give it to like the food pantry and,
Okay.
and places like that that
Okay.
are really helping needy people.
Okay. Okay, so is there any other questions? All right, so let's go ahead and get a motion on the floor then.
So moved. Or move to approve, what was the resolution?
24-2020.
24-2020.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
It's been moved by David and seconded by Katie to approve resolution 24-2020, a resolution establishing the receiving and use of coronavirus relief funds, CRF, under the Federal CARES Act provided to the city of Boardman, Oregon. Any more questions? Seeing none, could I have a roll call, please?
Leslie,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Junior,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Sandy.
Yes. Motion passes 6 and 1 empty. Thank you for, that was great discussion. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now once that's approved, do you just go ahead and let us know what you're going to put the money towards?
Yes, yeah, I'll let you know when we decide where we're going to divide it and how much we send.
Okay, that would be great.
You know, maybe, I think after we have that meeting with the other agencies, because the goal, I mean, because whatever we don't spend, we have to send back to the state. And I think the state will send back to the federal government. So, you know, the goal is to put it to good use in our communities.
Okay,
So,
thank you. I know the food pantry could really use it right now too.
oh, what's Lisa got to say?
So Lisa says we are going to put, this is Lisa Middlesdorf, we are going to put together a meeting of all cities, Morrow County, Porter Morrow, and special districts that have been awarded to discuss ways to spend these funds.
Okay, so you'll email us, Lisa, and let us know when that meeting will be?
Yeah, she will.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Karen, did you want Tori to talk about the broadband
No.
grant? Okay.
Okay, well, we're going down to other business, so once we do the August building, we can do the other one. Okay, so we're moving to other business now. Under other business, we have the August building department permit report. Yeah.
Even you, we turned it off earlier today.
It's hot in here. I thought it was just me. Sorry, guys, we're roasting to death in here.
We have to have an air conditioning break.
Usually he's got it on freezing. Okay, so the August building department permit report.
Oh, it's in the back of your packet, and I just wanted to show you how many we are selling. And I think after I looked at it today, I think I will have Jackie start putting it together, kind of like the police department, so we can see, because we are selling. What makes you so happy is how many new houses, permits and stuff we're selling. These guys, I say, if, I don't know how we would keep up.
Are they
with them.
running out of room over here yet?
Well, I'll tell you, Glenn is really busy. He's doing just such a fabulous job.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's just nice to see that, you know, like new home construction, last month we sold 3. You know, there was years when we sold none. So Morrow County had 1, and so no, and Oregon got a manufactured home placement 1. So these are nice figures to know, but I think we'll start doing it more like, so we can kind of see how we're doing monthly.
That's great. Thank you for providing that. Do we have any questions for Karen about this? Okay. You had
Leslie
something?
has something.
Oh, Leslie?
No, she
No?
just thumbs up.
Okay.
Oh, didn't know that was a thumbs up.
Did you have something else? Do you want to give it in your report when we come
Yeah.
back from exam? Okay.
Karen? Did you want me to read this letter from the commissioning committee for the Portland Council Navy League of the United States?
Yes, we hardly ever read the council the letters we get, but this is kind of asking us for a donation. So I asked Heather if she would read it to you.
Says, Dear Mayor and Councilors, in the summer of 2021, the U.S. Navy will commission the USS Oregon, SSN 793, the 20th submarine of the Virginia class and the second ship ever named for the state of Oregon. The christening ceremony was at General Dynamics Electric Boat in Groton, Connecticut on the 5th of October 2019. This is a great honor for our state and acknowledges our contribution to the nation's defense. We, the committee, seek your support in honoring the crew and celebrating our ship's entry into the fleet to deliver advanced capabilities for undersea supremacy. The U.S. Navy conducts a formal commissioning ceremony, but is prohibited from funding all the traditional celebrations and customs that welcome a new ship into the fleet. These are activities which help connect the ship and crew with its namesake state. Therefore, our committee, supported by the Navy League of the United States Portland Council, a 501c3 organization, accepted responsibility to fund and host these memorable events for the ship, her crew, our state, and citizens. Our goal is to raise $200,000 to fully support events and bring this great ship into the fleet. As city leaders, we appeal for your help in creating an unforgettable experience for those who serve aboard the USS Oregon, as well as their families and our citizens. Your participation in these events will honor the ship, her officers and crew, and help us establish a lifetime relationship between USS Oregon sailors and the citizens of the state of Oregon. Please consider joining us in supporting superior commissioning events that celebrate the ship, perpetuate the memory of her illustrious predecessor, and commend our great state. And then it just gives an address to send any contributions to.
Thank you. That's a wonderful idea.
So if you want to send a donation of like $500 or something, I mean, I wouldn't get crazy.
I think it's a great idea. Any ideas, council?
I am all for it.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so since some money, we'll need a motion on the floor. What?
Just real quick, Mr. Brandon says that he's out of town and does not have his charger. His phone is about to die. So.
Okay. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm still here, but as soon
Okay.
as it clicks off, just so you know.
So real quick, can we get a motion on the floor to donate like $500 to, who is it?
Madam Mayor, this is Leslie. I so move to donate $500 to the Portland Council and LUS.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Leslie and seconded by Junior to donate $500 to the Portland Council. Can I have a roll call, please?
Leslie?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Junior?
Yes.
Brandon?
I think his phone died. He's
Brandon? He's still there. Yeah. Okay, Sandy?
Yes, motion passes. I'm just gonna go down 5 and 1 uncommunicated and 1 gone. All right, so do we need to go into executive session at all?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to do the reports first and then executive session?
Yeah, I'm just gonna vote yes for Brandon when we get in executive session, just so he knows. So you can go now, Brandon.
He listened.
Okay, so we need reports then first.
Okay, Chief, you're up.
Chief, you're up.
Okay, everybody should have received a copy of the month-end report for the month of August. As you can see, the numbers run pretty steady, but if you look at the misdemeanor and felony arrest, I don't believe those numbers are going to be accurate. Again, with Butch in and out of the office, it's kind of tough to make sure that those numbers are accurate. But by the end of the year or within the next few months, we should have those updated numbers. So please remember, this is just a unaudited report, and we're trying to keep it up as best we can. So do I have any questions on that report?
I have a question.
Sure.
The school district is experiencing quite a lot of theft from things, and then around town, catalytic converters. What is the purpose of a catalytic converter?
Well, they're easy to cut out from underneath a car, very hard to detect when they've been cut out, and because of the make and materials of those, we find that they're good trading materials when you're looking for your next supply of illicit drugs. So it's quite often, we've had several places get, and they get under with a hacksaw. You can't see them at night. So,
Yeah, it happened to the school district. So
yeah, it happened with the Ford as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Chief.
Anything else?
Anything else for Chief?
So, hearing nothing else, I do want to, and I might put Robert or Wendy on the spot here because we haven't had that discussion. But since I was brought up in the, there's a question here, but we can get back to that if you don't mind. I'll kind of wade into the range. So I'm trying to not put myself in a position, because I am a port commissioner as well. About 2 years ago, we had somebody, we were contacted by UEC, where they had somebody had taken a high-powered rifle that shot from the range and hit some equipment at the substation behind the range. Are you familiar with that or remember that? It's been a couple of years ago.
There was damage that was something of a high-speed projectile.
Correct. So had it did as much damage as it was possible or could have done, it could have been extremely expensive. In the $1 million mark is what I was given. And as a port commission, obviously we didn't want to take that kind of liability on. But we had a lot of discussion, and I was probably one of the dissenting votes that did not want to close the range at that time, and we kind of stalled it. Aside from that, we have a lot of people go down and they're shooting all the equipment that the law enforcement has down there. They're making a mess out of things. They're causing a lot of damage. Then this last year, the final straw was during the windstorm or prior to the windstorm, somebody had shot at the radio data district tower, which provides radio communications for first responders. During the storm event, we lost some of our radio service because somebody had shot the microwave line, and we actually recovered the bullet out of the microwave line. While we knew that happened, they sent up a radio tech to fix it. While the radio technician was up there, somebody was shooting and bullets were going by him. At that point, it became, this is not, we just simply could not keep the range open anymore. We do understand it's very important for somebody to have a safe place to go utilize their firearms, and we encourage that. But I can tell you that law enforcement is not using the range right now either. It's completely closed to everybody. And it was eventual, at some point, we were going to have to close it because the city is buying the property to put a lagoon in. I've been working, the port has taken this under consideration. We've looked at several different portions of property on the port, trying to find a safe location to put it. But as you can imagine, when you're dealing with firearms, it's rather tough. And we're in the business of customers and not necessarily wanting them in jeopardy. So we made the decision to close the range for good. We are looking at other possibilities. I'm working with Chief Edmondson in Hermiston. We've met with Greg Smith and went out and toured out at the depot one of the igloos in an attempt to see if there's a way we can convert something like that into a indoor range for law enforcement. We're working with them to see if we can do that. We've talked to a couple of companies. We've had some individuals express interest in helping us out, trying to make that happen. So we'll be looking at options. And then hopefully at some point we can come up with a safe location and range, not just for law enforcement, but for the community, because we do believe it's important. So it was not an easy decision, but we just can't have anybody get hurt. And that was the final straw. So, Junior.
So,
And I just want to back the chief up on this. So I work adjacent to the range, and while I was at work, I had bullets actually land in the water right beside my crane. Heard the shots go off and then had them hit right beside me. So the location, as we grow, needs to be much further away from the populace, and that's probably not going to be as easy to do as we would like.
I agree. And that's just, you know, I believe in gun safety, and I was surprised to hear that, because I thought you could, in order to use the range, you had to call to let them know that you were going to be there. Has that changed?
No, it's always been that way, but
it's not locked up. So
people just go down and shoot whenever they want. I mean, you've got good responsible people. I'm not saying this isn't the responsible people that made this happen. These are people who were not following good gun safety rules and etiquette, had respect for other people's property. Those folks are not the ones that did this. They were the individuals that they just have no concern for property or safety. So, and again, it was not an easy decision, but I understand. And I think you guys would understand too the position that the port was in. We just couldn't afford that liability, and so it was a necessity.
it's absolutely necessary. I understand it completely, and I think it was a good decision. I think it would be like really cool if you just made it, there's a place in Tri-Cities that you can go. It's in Kennewick, I think. It's an indoor shooting range, and you have to pay to belong, and you can go and shoot. And is that a possibility?
Well, I can't commit to the port as saying that's a possibility. I think that there has been discussion, and I believe either Karen or Lisa can talk. I know that at one point at a community meeting, a gun range was a high topic for this community. So we are looking at options. It's just finding those, and I've met with some of the local big business in this area, and they were looking at trying to sponsor a law enforcement range indoor. But when that company's attorneys found out that they were going to build it on their property, they said, no. So again, it's a liability issue, and I get it. So we are still trying to find something. We are still working hard, because law enforcement in Umatilla, Boardman, Hermiston, the state prison, sometimes the Oregon State Police all use the Boardman range. So plus Morrow County. So it is a big loss to us. We're trying to find a good, safe place that we can go. Right now, we've had our best option is going to be in Pendleton. They have their own police range, but it's pretty hard to get 11 folks over to that range and leave this community unprotected. So we're working on some alternatives. So it's not going away. We are going to continue to look at it.
Thank you.
I see that JJ Von Swol asked, I think I missed open time, but hey, Chief, when is the new radios coming? So I don't know if I've given you a recent brief as to the council, but the new radio system is online in Umatilla County. And all agencies in Umatilla County are currently on the new radio system. We should be switching over within the next couple of weeks. Our outfits already have the radios in them here in Boardman. We just have to get it switched so that they can work off the Boardman Tower, and then Morrow County has to have the radios in the dispatch center switched up and online. So it should be happening within the next 2 weeks or so.
That's great.
Thank you for your question, sir. And that's, unless anybody has anything else.
Junior's got his hand up.
Oh,
Jamie's got his hand up.
Junior?
So are the radios you're talking about, are those the encrypted radios? Is that, have we done anything with the encrypted if not?
So they're the 700 megahertz system. All police agencies in Umatilla, Morrow counties will be encrypted. We believe that EMS and fire are going to follow that suit. And again, this was that discussion we had about protecting people's private information that's being put over the airwaves. So,
Right.
yes, so at some point it will be encrypted.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Karen, you're up.
Okay, so in my notes, I sent out the League of Oregon Cities conference papers. I would like to, if everybody thought they could even watch one or two of these, it's cost $60 a piece this year. So I think that I underlined in red the ones that I thought you should take on. But if you only had time to even watch one, it would be worth $60. So if I sign up 6 or 5 of the city councilors, do you tell me now if you have no intention of watching anything?
It's not that I don't have intention. I am not going to be able to get away from work to do that. I am so shorthanded at work, and there's not a chance I'm going to make it during a work day.
Okay, so, okay, that I need to know that. So
What about you, Leslie? Can you make one of these?
Yes, I would like to attend these.
I think the counselor's workshop is another one you didn't underline, and it's a good one. They have.
no, I think why I didn't add. Yes, I didn't underline
You
that.
didn't.
Well, because I thought that you guys would each pick something.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Aaron, I'll be able to attend one as well.
Okay.
Okay,
That's me too.
okay, so that's 3.
Where's Katie at?
She's here.
I'm here. I just need to relook over the dates and times. I'm sorry, to make sure it matches up with work and whatnot.
Well, okay, here's what the deal is. I'm gonna buy 4 or 5 at least, and because I think some of the city staff this year, Margaret and Heather, I think would get a lot out of it, and any of your other staff. I think this is the year that they should,
I know you love talking to the screen, but it's hard for them to hear.
well, then put the screen right here, because I talk to you guys face to
I do
face.
the same thing.
But anyway, so I think this year we should, if any of the staff would like to go, that we should allow them, because I think they would get a lot out of some of these meetings too, so,
Okay, well, I want to go.
okay,
And all the days, so.
all right.
There's at least 5 of us on the counselors, or 4 of us anyway. David, me, Leslie.
Oh, and did you see that I attached the priority list? I hounded you guys to finally make a decision
Yes.
on that, and the first 2, we decided those handwritten Bs alongside our boardman. And then, so I just wanted you to know that
These are the ones they decided on?
that's the ones they
That's awesome.
decided on, so that you can see what the rest of the cities in the state thought.
Well, mental health has always been a big issue anyway, so
Yes.
that's great.
And I talked to you already about the pantry and the Irrigan, Emergent Boardman Irrigan Express. I put in there a map and it wasn't in color, so I hope it made it a little hard, but the straight line that was drawn on there is where they're proposing to move the gravel road, instead of that one that goes kind of sideways across the paper. And so when they're asking us if we could help them at all, and I said, well, maybe I could do 10%. And so he sent me this average thing. It would just be a gravel road to their back entrance, but at least it would make our property more sellable, not to have that road going sideways across it. So we sent in a grant application for the Safe Routes to School. So we hope that will be in a year or two to do it, but
Is that for the Columbia Avenue?
yeah. And then if we get it, we can always spend our other money somewhere else.
Sandy, Karen, sorry, can I interject? Speaking of schools, can we open the playgrounds?
Not in phase one, we can't. We can in phase two, but not in phase one.
Well, I'm gonna have to check on that, just because yesterday, the Commissioner Lindsay said that we could open the pool.
Really? Under phase
Yes.
one?
And I heard from the governor that she was allowing pretty much everybody to open up the playgrounds as well because of school starting.
Oh, okay.
That would be, yeah.
And I don't know if that's, I heard from through the grapevine, so I'm not sure if that's true or not. So we might want to check on that, but it would be a great thing to open up the playgrounds for the kids, especially since school started.
Yeah, well, and where the fall weather's getting nice.
But aren't they limiting 250 students in the building at a time in the school?
They are.
I mean, there's several restrictions. So
That's another reason why the playgrounds need to be open, because the kids need to be able to get out, and outside is completely different than inside.
I'll check and make sure, because, yeah, if you've got playground equipment, we need to be,
And we can sanitize it too, you know.
Who's gonna do it?
Well, once a day, it could be sanitized once a day.
So I don't think they need to be. The sun will, from what I understand, the sun will sanitize them, but regardless, the kids need a place to play.
I don't know, Katie's the health expert, so.
I'm with Chief. From a hospital perspective, that hasn't been totally proven, but I agree with Chief to check with, and you guys look at the government and kind of see what they say on that first.
Check with.
I'd like to thank all of you for attending the IAMP meeting last night. I thought that really went well. He presented a lot of information, and so that was good. The big news for the day that Tori wanted to tell you, and I said no, is that we actually received the contract this afternoon from the state of Oregon, that we are going to receive the grant for doing the broadband. That's been quite a little. Yes, it's 687,000.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big
That's to
deal.
put poles and stuff, right?
Yes,
Oh, my God.
we can cover almost all of Boardman, and then
Just nothing down on Cottonwood. That's all.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
I've been waiting.
And see, this has to be done by the end of December, and since there was kind of a protest against us getting this money,
Why?
well,
Yeah,
yeah, they was
different
just,
conversation.
it was a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, it was difficult though. So they finally said, you guys go for it. So now we're really.
That's awesome.
it is
Good
gonna-
job.
Yeah, yeah. Tori and Lisa filled out the grant application and did a really good job
Good job, Tori and Lisa.
and put it in the city's name. And so we can get lots of work going for the community.
That's awesome.
We sent out Tori sent out a thing for the Red Cross yesterday, And I guess I'm gonna make my plea again. You know, when we had the big windstorm, Red Cross showed up immediately. And now they are just overwhelmed with all these fires.
Yeah.
Down in Oregon. And so if you are inclined to make a contribution to some kind of a worthy organization, maybe Red Cross should be on your list this year, because it's been, they're no different than all the rest of us. It's just been some kind of a year.
That's
So,
true.
anyway, I think that's all. I'd like to go, I want to go to an executive session, so we'll take a 10-minute break.
Hold on.
Oh.
Any of the counselors have anything? Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session. Oh, Leslie?
Yes, Madam Mayor, just a quick question. Where are we with the census?
I think we're about 42 or 43, and someone said that they were going to try to get somebody to go sit at the grocery store and try to get, I don't know, I was hoping that, and I never have checked to see, but if the people that pick up food boxes we should ask them to fill out the census.
Yeah,
because
Hefner did it.
Well, and here's the thing. That's where we get the money to do food boxes and to build a pantry and,
Yes.
and stuff. That's why it's so important
Yes.
that we, so if you get someone to, that you know.
Tori, did you have something?
Yeah, so referring to the food pantry, we sent out bilingual messaging to those people and spoke with them when they come in and they did get some help filling out the census. We did see a 3% increase over the last 2 weeks, and Mark from Portland, who works for the census, will be at the grocery store here pretty soon to get people to sign up for the census, and all this has to be concluded by the end of September. So our days are dwindling really fast, but our numbers are really going up in our community, which is exciting. And there's a few more projects that people are going to go out and go door to door to get the census filled out by working through other means of businesses.
Leslie?
Are there additional methods of promotion that we could utilize on the city website or through social media or with our partners like the chamber to continue to get a big push here for the last couple of weeks, if possible?
Yeah, it's our push here for the next couple of weeks. In every newsletter we send out, it's on our website. We repost it on social media as much as we can, and whenever I get a chance, I talk about it. So it's our last push for the last few weeks of the month.
Thank you, Tori, for all you do.
Oh, I forgot something because you realize that our reader board is not working uptown.
It's not.
And since it's so old that they're having trouble finding parts to repair it. So the man gave us a quote for a double-sided one that is $33,000. And so I don't know, I want you to think about, do we want to spend that kind of money? And then we'll look and see where the, which line item we would get it out of.
Yes, we need a reader board because we miss it.
I think, I don't know. I mean, people say, well, I never have time to read it and I'm driving by too
Oh,
fast.
no. I have people ask about it. What's
But-
wrong with the reader
But
board?
now that it's not working, people are missing it. So at least it reminds them. So
Yeah.
anyway, we could get a nice new one.
Junior?
What are the chances of maybe putting it somewhere else so it doesn't block the traffic where it's at? It's a terrible for that corner. I realize it'd be a lot more money to move it, but maybe we can put it somewhere where it could be seen better and isn't such an obstruction of the traffic.
Are you volunteering to take the cinder block things down?
I can get a crane up here if you need it.
I knew that's what my answer would be. I don't know. If you want to consider that, that's fine. I know that it's really is two things about it. we don't own the property, and it is in a pretty bad location to be able to see down the street. And so, and the south side of the, town doesn't have one.
Yes.
So anyway, I want you to think about it as a, capital outlay, something.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
okay.
Okay.
My gosh, we're already almost 9 o'clock. We've been really talkative tonight.
Okay, so we're gonna go take a short break, and when we come back from break, we're going to go into executive session, ORS 192.660-2E for real estate. So those of you that want to come back after our executive session, we welcome you, but we're gonna take a short break. Sorry, oh, bye.
Everybody else that is not a counselor needs to sign off.
Yes,
I'll shut it down. It's a different.
it's a different.
What time are we meeting on executive? How long is our break?
Couple minutes.
Yeah, 5.
Okay, thank you.
Is it really 9 o'clock?
Yeah, 10.